Most men have been taught attraction wrong. They've been taught kindness first, patience first, respect first, and they wonder why she treats them like a friend, a therapist, an emotional dumping ground, but never like a man she desires. Here's the uncomfortable truth most dating coaches will never tell you. Women don't just want sweetness. They want something darker, something rawer. Something that lives beneath the surface of polished, proper behavior. And it's been there, dormant, waiting to be pulled out by the right man. These aren't things she'll write in her journal or tell her girlfriends about. These are the things she whispers to herself at 2 a.m. when no one's listening. This is the psychology of what women actually want. Not what they say they want, but what their biology, their subconscious, their deep evolutionary wiring demands from a man. The first secret is this. She wants you to own the room before you own her. Not with loud declarations, not with chest puffing or posturing, but with the quiet, unshakable certainty of a man who doesn't need anyone's permission to be exactly who he is. Psychologists call this confident neutrality, the ability to remain calm, warm, and grounded even when the social environment around you is chaotic. When a woman watches a man who isn't scanning the room for approval, who isn't performing for an audience, who simply is, something shifts inside her. It's not a thought. It's a felt experience. A biological signal that says, this one is different. The deep truth is that attraction isn't something you build, it's something you reveal. And the first thing she's waiting to see is whether you know yourself so completely that her presence doesn't change who you are. Most men shrink when a beautiful woman enters the room. They become more polished, more careful, more managed. That is the death of attraction. She doesn't want the managed version. She wants the real one. The one you are when no one's watching. The second secret cuts even deeper, and almost no one talks about it. She wants you to speak truth when it's uncomfortable. Not cruelty, not bluntness for the sake of ego, but the kind of honesty that costs something. The sentence most men swallow because they're afraid of her reaction, afraid of losing her approval, afraid of conflict. Here's what that fear signals to her subconscious. He needs me to feel okay about himself. And the moment she senses that need, desire dies. It's not harsh. It's simply how psychological safety and attraction work in opposite directions. She feels safe with the man who needs her. She feels attracted to the man who doesn't. This doesn't mean being cold or withholding. It means being willing to say what most men won't. Holding your perspective in a disagreement, even when she pushes back. Being so secure in your own truth that you don't need her agreement to remain warm, confident, and fully present. Studies in interpersonal psychology consistently show that self-validation, the internal ability to affirm your own judgments without needing external reinforcement, is one of the most consistently attractive qualities a person can carry. Women don't want a man who agrees with everything. They want a man who thinks for himself, then chooses her anyway. The third secret lives in silence, and not the uncomfortable kind of silence most men rush to fill. The deliberate, magnetic silence that communicates more than words ever could. There is a specific kind of power in a man who does not chase conversation, who does not anxiously fill every pause, who allows silence to breathe between two people without apologizing for it. Most men are terrified of silence in the presence of a woman they're attracted to. They talk more. They perform more, they offer more, and with every rushed word, they unknowingly communicate one thing: I am afraid of you. She feels that fear before it becomes language. Not consciously, but in the way your nervous system speaks to hers before your words ever reach her ears. The third thing she wants from you is strategic restraint, the willingness to say less than you know, to withhold just enough to leave her filling in the blanks, because what the human brain imagines is always more powerful than what reality provides. This is one of the most studied phenomena in attraction psychology. Partial information creates cognitive fixation. When she doesn't have the full picture of you, her brain will construct one, and it will almost always be more compelling than anything you could offer by simply explaining yourself at every turn. Mystery isn't a tactic, it's a frequency, and the men who carry it don't manufacture it. They simply stop over-explaining themselves. The fourth secret is the one that separates the men who are liked from the men who are craved. She wants you to acknowledge what she refuses to say out loud. Every person carries a shadow, the parts of themselves they've been told to hide, suppress, or apologize for. Her competitiveness, her ambition, her anger, her darkness, the desires she's been shamed for. The thoughts she has at night that she believes make her too much. Therefore, detachi, inachai, and daya. Most men only respond to the curated version of a woman, the agreeable, soft, socially acceptable version she presents to the world. But the man who can look at her shadow and say, without flinching, I see that in you, and it doesn't scare me, that man becomes something entirely different to her. Not just safe, not just comfortable, but magnetically, devastatingly real. This is what Jungian psychology calls shadow recognition, the act of seeing and accepting the parts of another person they've been conditioned to conceal. When she feels truly seen, not just the pretty parts, but the sharp parts, the strange parts, the parts she keeps locked, her nervous system doesn't just relax, it surrenders. And surrender, inside genuine psychological safety, is the deepest form of attraction that exists between two people. It's not about saying, I like your dark side as a line. It's about the absence of judgment when something real slips through. It's about not flinching, not correcting, not redirecting her to a more comfortable version of herself. It's about staying in the room when the room gets complicated. That is more powerful than any physical move you could make. That is the kind of presence she will spend years trying to find again. The fifth secret is one most men fear to execute because it requires a kind of emotional courage they were never taught. She wants you to initiate. Not just physically, but in the conversation about what you both are, what you both want, where this is going. Most men wait. They hover in ambiguity because ambiguity feels safe. As long as nothing is defined, nothing can be rejected. But here's what ambiguity communicates to her. He doesn't know what he wants, or he knows, and he's too afraid to say it. Either reading is unattractive. The man who moves first, who decides, who declares, who draws a line in the sand with confidence and then backs it with consistent action, that man is doing something increasingly rare. He is demonstrating that he has a vision and that she is part of it because he deliberately chose her, not because she happened to fall into his life. Intentionality is one of the most powerful psychological forces in human connection. When someone makes you feel genuinely chosen, not as a fallback, not as a convenience, but as a clear decision, something inside you responds at a cellular level. You feel wanted in a way that transcends flattery and attention. That experience is rare now, and rarity creates desire. The fifth thing she wants is not a perfect speech, not a grand gesture, not something rehearsed in a bathroom mirror. She wants the clean, clear moment when you stop hedging, stop waiting, stop leaving things unspoken, and simply say, this is what I want, and I want it with you. The sixth secret is perhaps the most misunderstood of all. She wants you to challenge her. Not to dominate her, not to diminish her, but to hold her to a standard higher than the one she holds herself to. Most men, out of fear of conflict or a misguided belief that attraction requires constant agreement, accept every version of her. The lazy version, the dishonest version, the version that tests limits just to see what you'll do. And when you accept all of it without comment, she doesn't feel loved. She feels unchallenged. An unchallenged mind goes numb. Think about the figures in your own life who shaped you most. They were almost never the ones who told you everything was fine. They were the ones who saw more in you than you saw in yourself and refused to let you settle beneath it. That dynamic, the productive tension between who she is and who you believe she can be, is one of the most overlooked drivers of long-term attraction. When you push back on a choice that doesn't reflect her values, when you hold a standard with consistency and warmth rather than anger, you become someone she cannot dismiss. Because people always remember the ones who believed in them hard enough to push. The seventh secret is the one that binds all the others together, and it's the one most men will resist the most because it requires something more vulnerable than confidence, more difficult than honesty, more complex than restraint. She wants you to desire her visibly, without desperation. There is a distinction here that most men never grasp, the difference between craving someone and needing them. Craving is magnetic. Needing is suffocating. A man who craves a woman is operating from fullness. He sees her, he wants her, he chooses her. But his identity doesn't collapse without her. A man who needs a woman is operating from emptiness. She becomes his mood regulator, his emotional anchor, his source of self-worth. And she can feel that weight before a single word is spoken. The seventh thing she wants is for you to want her with an intensity that has no desperation attached to it. She wants to feel desired in a way that is specific and real, not generic flattery, not needy pursuit, but the look in your eyes that says, I see exactly who you are, and I'm not playing games about what that does to me. This kind of desire is electric precisely because it is rare. Most men either suppress their desire out of fear of coming on too strong, or they release it without restraint and chase her into walls. The art is in the space between. Deliberate, present, unapologetic desire expressed without anxiety and without attachment to the outcome. That is a frequency she has encountered only once or twice in her life, if at all. And when she finds it in you, she will not let it go easily. This is what the psychology of attraction looks like when you strip away the surface-level scripts and the performance. It's not about what you say. It's about who you are when the room gets quiet, when the pressure is real, when the moment calls for something more than a polished version of yourself. It's the man who walks in without needing approval, who speaks hard truths with calm in his voice, who holds silence like a weapon and restraint like a philosophy, who sees her darkness and doesn't flinch, who initiates because he is certain, who challenges because he believes in her, who desires without desperation. These 7 things are not a checklist. They are a state of being, and the difference between the man who reads this and forgets, and the man who internalizes it until it becomes instinct, that difference is everything. She isn't looking for perfect. She is looking for real. She is looking for the man who is so fully himself that being around him makes her feel more like herself too. That is the highest level of attraction. That is the thing she wants and cannot name. And now, you know exactly what it is.